Well, it's Thursday, July 9th, 2020, and what I'm doing is I'm up in the comic book room and I'm still attempting to segregate Silver Age from Bronze Age and up. So I've done these boxes and these, and I still need to go through all those. So I have a pretty modest sized collection, but just having fun looking through some old issues. This Spider-Man special is all reprints, but it's fun to read. And the wonderful old ads, $7 for a nuclear cardboard sub. So that needs to be bagged and boarded and put into, well, what I'm doing is, as long as it's got the corner box, I'm considering it Silver Age. So my cutoff, although it's not technically accurate, as a comic is Silver Age if it's got the corner box. And as far as DC, when they went to the 25 cent, I consider that the beginning of the Bronze Age. Not totally accurate, but that's just easy for me to do this. And it's a ridiculous project. I'm not sure why I embarked on it, but I've done it, so I got to keep going with it. So anyway, I'm pulling out certain comics from these boxes here and putting them into these boxes. Certain issues that I think are more interesting, I'm pulling them out and putting them into these boxes first. Then I'll go and do the generic rest of them. So these are just a few I just pulled out of these boxes. So I'll look at them along with you. So anyway, wonderful Ditko reprints. So special 6 and 8. Okay, this is supposed to be valuable from what I'm understanding. So this is about when I stopped. Well, when they went to the black costume is when I was starting to think, well, but I'm kind of kidding. I know this comic has some value. I'm not. I'd have to look it up. But I made sure I treated my comics well, and I made sure that they were always squared perfectly when I picked out the copies. So anyway, I kind of am like, the problem with Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3 is he was an old school Spider-Man fan like me, and he didn't know who Venom was or really care, and it was forced on him to put Venom into that. So by Avi Arad, he made him shoehorn Venom in, and clearly he didn't like it and couldn't relate to it, and it made for a really bad movie. Spider-Man 1 and 2 were great, especially Spider-Man 2. There's an old photograph I have from before I was born where I see my older brother as a little kid holding a Space Mouse comic. Not sure if it was this one or this one. I'll have to go back and look. So I never inherited those comics, so I've gone back and tried to find Space Mouse comics when I can. Joe Simon, Brother Power the Geek, one of the weirdest attempts to sell comics to hippies. Anyway, Brother Power the Geek only lasted a few issues. Okay, so this would be Silver Age. So I'll put this in this pile along with a space. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing with Space Mouse. See, I don't know. I guess I should have a separate box for underground comics. I've just been putting all comics together alphabetized, and I really shouldn't have ever stopped doing that because it's so much easier. And Someone was just on, just watching a video on YouTube. Someone said this is an issue that's very valuable. So we better listen to them. It's the 9/11 issue of Spider-Man. This is another one of those Spider-Man specials. This one reprints the magazine that came out in '68. I don't know if it's a shortened version or not. So this is a great Silver Age comic. Herbie the Fat Fury. Oh, this is a wonderful ad. Need to get better lighting in here. Oh, and more. Sorry, I've got the soundtrack to Grease playing in the other room. It's probably going to flag me for copyright. Let's see. This is a Spirit comic from the early 70s, put out by Kitchen Sink. Kitchen Sink tried to put out several issues in 1972, reprinting old Spirit comics, but giving them kind of a racy new cover. Try to sell it to underground audiences. The insides aren't quite this racy. But, oh yeah. So, anyway, Warren got the rights shortly after and put out a Spirit magazine for a few years. And then Kitchen Sink took over from there in the late 70s. That's something that's neat. This is cool. An EC in terrible condition, but it's always cool to see an EC comic. Not a reprint. It's kind of like whenever you see on the internet, whenever there's an article and then underneath people start talking about the article, there's always people saying, I made this much in 1 week, and that stuff has always been around. What we're looking at is from the early 50s. EC Fan Addict Club. This was the sister publication to Mad. It was not written by Harvey Kurtzman, so it was not as funny, but it had the same artist, so it was this cover is actually folded. Yeah, not in good shape, but let's see what else I've got. Some Shield issues. Steranko cover. And for those of you that actually thought the TV show would be anything like this, we were all sorely disappointed. You know, I was hoping that when they created an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show that it would have the feeling of at least Man from U.N.C.L.E., but it just became a very boring show, and that was a disappointment. More Steranko. You don't find Western comics very often. Let's see. The Marvel family. Or should it be the Shazam family? Bullshit. It's like Baba Booey on the Howard Stern show. Let's see. Not in great shape, but you know, it's fun to read. Yeah, this is the real Captain Marvel, not Brie Larson. This is at the very end of the run. And in the early days of, in the early 70s, when they relaxed the comics code and Marvel and DC started doing horror comics, and some of the early covers by Bernie Wrightson, this one's from 1974, this, it really did a good job of recreating the look of an EC Comics horror comic. They weren't as good, but this cover is just beautiful. I'm not saying that they weren't good. They just weren't as good as EC. Look at this wonderful art. Patches. Another great cover that looks very much like an EC. This one I bought off the rack as a second grader. So this is also bought by me. That's unusual. I usually tried to make sure comics were squared, but I'm sorry, I was 7 years old. You know, I never got the first issue of Howard the Duck. I've got a complete run other than that, and I'm sure that this has some significance. I happen to have 2 copies of this for some reason, and one is a 30-cent. I guess that's a variant. Maybe it's worth, I assume it's probably worth more money. I'm sure someone will tell me, or I can just look it up myself. I'm not that lazy. These old crime comics are wonderful. This is a rather tame cover. Kirby, but very tame. This is what you normally get with a crime comic. Something like this. Yeah, Crime Does Not Pay was a great comic. This is an example of what the Comics Code was trying to do away with. And it was a huge selling comic as well, because comics were read by adults back then as well, the World War II generation. And I guess that has some value. There's a million of them out there. Um, these are reprints of Not Brand Echh. Not Brand Echh is a comic I dearly love. They had new covers though by Marie Severin, and they're beautiful. And if you're not familiar with Not Brand Echh, it was Marvel's 60s attempt to parody their comics and other companies' comics and do it in a early Mad Harvey Kurtzman style. I have 2 copies of this issue. It has a beautiful new cover by Marie Severin as well. I mean, really worthy of framing. But this was the issue that I first discovered. A kid at school in 3rd grade had this issue, and I traded him for a really bad cut-up copy of this. I mean, really one of the worst condition comics I've ever seen, but I had to have it. And then later I went back and found that it was, reprints of Not Brand Echh, and found all the original issues. But it just hasn't. Once I got the Origins of Marvel Comics, the Stan Lee book, and it reprinted the first issue of Fantastic Four, and I realized this is panel by panel a parody of the first issue of Fantastic Four. This James Bond. Yeah, they try to do all the. Yeah, so you can compare panel by panel. It's just wonderful Marie Severin art. I mean, Marie Severin is a genius. Her coloring. She was a colorist for the EC Comics in the 50s, and she's a very look at this beautiful art. She passed away a few years ago. Someday people will appreciate her art. Someone's already put out a book about her, but wonder how they credited this. Okay. Aided and abetted. Okay, so they say created by Stan the Man Lee and Jack King Kirby. Because they're using the layouts. Aided and abetted. She completely redrew it. I would think that they would give her more credit. And then it was inked by Tom Sutton. Also in this issue is a wonderful, this is the last panel, where Superman kind of gives up to all the new Marvel heroes, but it's a parody of just how many, how extreme the whole Superman family became. And oh boy, this comic is one of the most this is just a great comic. Man, I didn't even know I owned this. I've been looking at this thinking, I wish I had that, and I actually own it. Because I bought a lot of these comics in the 80s, and I keep buying stuff, and I keep realizing, oh, I've got 2 copies of that. Now that's Creatures on the Loose. Oh, what a wonderful cover this is. What a wonderful cover. Wow. Dark Shadows comic. I've got to bag and board all this stuff. I've got a huge job ahead of me. I don't even know what this is. Dark Stars. I guess I bought it trying to try it out. Okay. That's Donna Troy. There's lots of cool stuff. 100-page specials. There's a great issue reprinting Plastic Man stuff. Oh, Another Crime Does Not Pay. Wonderful. Okay. So, what do I need to do? just realized that I have 2 copies of the first appearance of the Black Widow. I was just happy I had one, and as I'm putting everything together from different boxes. Oh, here's Not Brandak. That issue I was just showing you Crazy, this is what it originally looked like. This is the original cover. It's issue number 7. You need to seek it out. Let's see. Oh, and before, there was another attempt where Harvey tried to bring back the Spirit. Before, yeah, this is before Kitchen Sink tried to bring it back. Then it went to Warren and then back to Kitchen Sink. That's a wonderful cover. Yeah, a lot of the comics I've been showing you that I've been buying at Duncanville Books, it turns out I already have them. Like, here's an example, Metal Men. And, yeah, that's the one I just got. And I already had it, but my original copy... No, wait a second. Huh. No, I don't know what I did. Something insane. So I've got a bag and board these comics. I don't know if Brother Voodoo is... I think he's got a different name now. I think he's now named Dr. Voodoo, and I think he's going to be possibly appearing in the new Doctor Strange movie. I'm not sure. That one's in okay shape. See, I've got to get all of this stuff bagged and boarded. Well, I need to go through all my Fantastic Fours as well. This is my first issue, 15. This one's had the title cut away. Need better lighting in here too. And then this is an example of a comic I now have twice because I bought it again recently. So, wow. Just looking at these old, it's just so much fun just to look at these old covers. And I'm going to make this room very relaxing to sit in and just read. I've got to get more light because my eyes are starting to go. And make this comfortable. This is going to take a while, this project, but I don't know. I guess, you know, I've got nothing but time. So, I guess, I wonder if there's anything else I could show you that's fascinating around here. I don't think so right now. So, take care and remember, we're all in this together. We're all in this together. We're all in this together. We're all in this together.